So I was originally going to post this as just a gameplay video, but I thought it'd be more helpful to those of you who may be struggling to get out of gold, just to do a sort of commentary on the game and kind of what's going through and a few general tips on how you can sort of improve and help get through the ranks a little faster. Now, I know I've done this before, but it was King's Canyon, I believe I did it for, and it was more of like a live com while I was in the game, just to kind of explain what I'm doing and what's going through. But I'm going to sort of do that now. My 4K video is quite well received. It is my most watched video, so I thought doing something like that for ranked might be beneficial, and hopefully it'll help some of you guys out. So if you are struggling for gold and this video does help you out, please do let me know in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys, and it's really nice to know that you guys find these videos helpful. So please do let me know. Honestly, I read every single comment that I get on my videos, and I try to reply to all of them as well. Anyway, going from the top, you'll notice that we've dropped kind of out of the main kind of areas. Now, recently I've been dropping a lot on the quieter area, so Hydro, Elysium, sometimes even Solar. And at the other side of the map, you know, we're talking very far out in sort of Docks Way and dropping around that area. We're trying to land so it's not too contested, but getting those early game kills are really, really important for ranked, and having that early game KP really, really helps you out, because it means you can get that KP and then you can relax, you can slow rotate inwards, and you still get max points, and you can really play for your positioning, and you don't necessarily have to take every single fight you come across. So my first tip, of course, would be to think about your landing drop and landing a little quieter. Now, if there's only 1 or 2 squads going, that's not a bad thing, as long as you don't push the fight while you have no weapons or armor or anything like that. If you can space yourself out from the other squad. So here, although we both landed at Elysium, I did drop towards the back side, while they dropped more towards the front side. So this gives us a bit of breathing distance, enabled us to get some weapons and some loot before then getting involved in a fight, which obviously paid off, because, you know, we dealt some damage, and here we're cleaning up another team that's come for the third party, which leads me to another point. Like, with Olympus, there's a lot of third partying, and the moment you start fighting, you want to get them fights done as quick as possible and then move on, because honestly, these gunshots can be heard from so far away, it's ridiculous. So that's another tip for you guys. This is my second tip. Get your fights over and done with, and then move on to a new location, because as soon as you start fighting, you're going to have people nearby that are probably going to hear it and probably going to push it, especially in the higher ranks. In this lobby, some fights did go on quite a while, but no one really pushed it, because I think we were just that far out of the main areas that no one kind of was that interested. But that's, you know, that was quite lucky, and ideally we'll get these fights over and done with, and then we can move on, grab the loot that we need, and just move on, because you don't want to be staying in that area too long. If another team comes along, then someone else hears it, and then some other team's going to come along, and it can just really end up in a huge sticky situation of teams just third partying after third party. And of course, with the Octane Revenant meta as well, they can sneak up on you real quietly. It's kind of broken, and they can really sneak up on you really quietly. But my next tip for you guys, my number 3 tip would be, this is going to be honestly one of the best tips I can give you, and it might be hard for some of you, I appreciate that, but this is going to make ranked so much easier for you guys, and that is, if you can, play with at least one friend. At least one friend. You don't have to have a full team, but here I'm playing with Mythic. Me and him, I've been playing a while, we've been playing a lot of ranked, we've been playing a lot of pubs. And in that sense, we've built a sort of chemistry, and we know how each other play, we know we can rely on one another, we know we work well in sync, and having that is honestly invaluable, because when you solo queue and when you go with randoms, it makes it a lot harder. And of course, you're changing teammates, you don't know if you can rely on them to clutch up. If you go down, that could be the end of you, because you might be able to carry the team, or you might be a higher skill level than they are. So it's always quite a worry not knowing how good your teammates are, and sometimes you might not be able to push into a fight, or they sort of push in on their own and go down straight away and cost you the kind of the win there. So it's really nice just to have a teammate that you know you can rely on, you know you play well with, and it honestly just makes such a huge difference. Like, when I'm not playing and when I'm solo queuing, the lobbies just feel so much harder than obviously when I'm with someone I know I can rely on and I know I can play well with. So honestly, if you can, guys, try get a friend to play with, or 2 friends would be even better. Having all set legends that you all play and work well with would just be the best case scenario. Honestly, that's really going to help you out, especially if you're trying to grind rank pretty fast. Playing with the same people is going to help you out a ton. Now, the next tip I want to cover is, you'll see what's happening on screen now. We've seen someone get rezzed in and they've run off, and we know their other teammate has split from them, but we're not chasing them. We have a look around and we don't go full out in chase. Now, there's a few reasons for this, and this is where you see it a lot in the lower lobbies, and a lot with sometimes third partying as well, and especially if you're a solo queuer, you'll see it quite a lot with your teammates. But basically what happens is people get kill thirsty. We already have that early game KP. We don't need to be pushing and chasing people around the map, getting into dangerous fights that another team might be in the area. We don't know that area is safe. We've kind of covered this area where we are. No one's turned up, and it's a pretty safe area for the time being. It's a quiet corner of the map. No one's really there. However, if you go chasing teammates or pushing straight into a third party, not knowing your area, getting that sort of kill tunnel vision, it can really cause complications, because they might lead you into their team, and if you're on your own and it's 1v3, most of the time they're just going to gun you down pretty easily. And sticking together in ranked is way more beneficial than chasing 1 kill or pushing into a fight and trying to get 1 KP. Like, KP is great, but ultimately your KP will get better the more you place better. So you don't want to be pushing into fights leaving your squad behind. Sticking together with your squad as well is another huge one. Making sure you're all kind of rotating together and not running off from each other. So if anyone does come and ambush you, you're in a much better position. And especially with having Jibby on the team, I'm able to drop a bubble if we need to. Now, another tip, and you have seen it in this one. Luckily, we got quite lucky with the ring, but there's, especially on Olympus, there's a few areas I would avoid completely. And if you can, if the circle doesn't go there, completely avoid these areas. And the reason being is because as soon as you start shooting another team's going to turn up. Then another team's going to turn up. Then another team's going to turn up. And honestly, you do not want to be in the middle of this. You're going to do yourself a disservice. You're going to make it hard work. And most of the time, you probably won't come out alive if you're there too long. And of course, I'm talking about Estates, Hammond, Fountain, and possibly even Energy. At this, maybe it kind of depends on the lobby in the game, but especially Hammond Labs and the Fountain area, if you can, just completely avoid it, completely rotate around it. And if you need to go through there, Turbine as well. If you need to go through there, you need to go through there. But if you can, rotate around it, take the smarter route, go around the back of it rather than going right through the center past Hammond Labs, because that's just such a hot spot. It's the center of the map. Teams can hear gunshots from all directions because you're right in the center of them, and it's honestly not worth the 1 or 2 KP that you might pick up there, because you're probably going to get killed and it's just going to result in poor placement, so that KP probably won't matter anyway. So think about the rotations you're doing, rotate a little smarter, and try avoid those really busy areas. Of course, if you do get in fights, think about what you're doing in the fight. Don't just, like I said, don't just get tunnel vision for the kills. Don't just chase the people down. Make sure you and all your team are on comms, making call-outs on how much damage you're doing to them, how much damage you're doing to each legend. So, you know, if one of us does push, we know which to target first. We know who's going to get brought down. If there's a lifeline or a Jibby on the team, try bring them down first, because they're going to be the team support. Obviously, if you knock someone else that's not a lifeline but they have a Jibby or a lifeline, they can get those reses pretty easy. Now, what you'll see we're doing here is we're kind of holding down the ring, essentially. So the ring has fallen at Oasis, and we know we don't need to move anywhere. We've got some KP. We can just let people come to us. So don't rush around the map. Don't constantly think, I need to get kills, I need to go taking out the lobby. Kills are great and all, but if you get them early game, means you can relax, means you can think about your positioning, means you can wait for all the teams to come to you. And of course, when one of the teammates is getting involved in a fight, you will see my potato grenades there, because I didn't realise there was actually glass there. But if one of your teammates does get involved in a fight, you can straight run over there, get them backed up, and take down the enemies for them, and help them out. Not for them, but help them out, help deal that extra damage. Of course, if you hold down that area first, it means no one can gatekeep you. It means no one can keep you back. Say you're on the edge of the ring, but there's a team on one side of it and there's a team on another. You're kind of stuck in the middle because they can just keep you out of the ring just by like firing at you, you know. It makes it a lot harder. So that early positioning is super important. Now I know I said earlier, rotate slowly and rotate around, but there's sort of like, you'll get the idea of, okay, maybe we should move in a little quicker here, maybe we should get this spot as soon as possible, especially in the later rounds when that zone's going to damage you a lot more. Getting in there as soon as possible is going to be way more beneficial. Now, of course, what I would recommend is using guns you're comfortable with and legends you're comfortable with as well. Having something... Olympus is a lot of mid-range fights, in my opinion. Sometimes you'll get a long range as well. I've recently been trying out the Sentinel, but of course the R301 is such a staple, you can't go wrong with it. And having a close range weapon as well, you just can't go wrong with it. But you need something at range. If you are having those long range engagements, which rank sometimes tend to be, you don't want to be left out. Unless you can beam with a 99 at range, you don't want to be left out of those fights. You want to try get some people knocked, so then when you do have a knock, you can push in and hopefully clean up the rest of the team. Because if you get that one person knocked on their team, you're already at an advantage. So if you all then push, it's 3v2 and you're gonna wipe them out. But of course, again, this all comes down to communication, communicating with your team. So if you are a solo queuer, I know I keep going around all these different tips. There's just so much to fit in this video. I am doing it unscripted, so I apologize if I keep looping around. But if you are if you are solo queuing, make sure to take kind of charge of your team. If no one's on comms, maybe still give comms anyway, because they might not have a mic, but they still might be able to hear you. So if you're saying, oh look, let's go push this guy, go for this guy, I've hit this guy for 150, you know, it's gonna help people out. And you might not think it'll be helpful because no one's replying or no one's responding, but they can probably hear you saying, I've just dealt this much, or Bloodhound's knocked, or Wraith is knocked, and they're going to be able to hear you, and they're going to be able to act on that. And just being on comms in general is way more advantageous than just using a ping system. So, like in this scenario, we knew the Mirage had somehow made it into the building, so we all just sort of charged in, and it was 3v1, and obviously we're going to come out on top of this because it's 1v3. But they're kind of like my tips for ranked. I know it's a bit all over the place, but I hope this helps some of you who may be struggling to get out of gold. I'll probably do a more in-depth one for platinum, but it will be the same kind of thing. Maybe it'll be more of an analysis of the full gameplay and why I'm doing certain things and why I'm moving around the map. But I hope that helps some of you that may be struggling. And of course, if it does, please do let me know. But for now, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.